This episode of Auto Glass Digest Talk was previously recorded in October 2019. The following podcast is for informational purposes only and does not apply to all situations involving ADAS technology.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're locked into Auto Glass Digest Talk
with your host, Jamie Browning, the auto glass industry's #1 podcast.
Welcome, everybody. Hey, you are definitely in the right spot if you want to hear the top 10 myths of ADAS, recalibration, and a big shout out to our sponsors. So if you're in the automotive reconditioning industry and now the windshield repair industry, check out Mobile Tech RX. They have some amazing software. It's available for Android and Apple devices. Mobile Tech RX, check them out. Lots of cool features on there. I think they even have a demo that you can check out. So look them up, mobiletechrx.com. Also, a big shout out to our sister company, ADAS Warehouse. If you're looking to purchase an recalibration system, great place to go, adaswarehouse.com. So today we're taking a look at something that I kind of feel is important for me because I try to stay off of social media because I always get looped into these arguments. So today I've been wanting to do this for quite a while. Top 10 ADAS myths. So you see all this stuff on social media, people who are claiming this or that. We're going to dispel some of those today. I'm sure that there is going to be a lot of comments on the videos and the podcast. So definitely reach out. We have the always amazing Carrie sitting in the producer seat today.
Jamie, you're too kind.
Thank you. You're too kind for sitting in. Not many people do this on the fly. So she got a crash course in podcast producing yesterday, and she's filling in for us this week.
Hey, this thing makes me look good. You know?
Yeah, it does. I'm digging that you have your. So what's your little character over there?
It's Angela Moss. Just because you don't watch Mr. Robot, don't diminish her.
Mr. Robot. All right, cool. So let's tackle these things. Coming in at number 10, you must be smart or know how to use computers to recalibrate ADAS components. So this is one of the furthest things from the truth that's out there. Essentially, if you can read, you can recalibrate pretty much anything on the vehicle. Most of the systems that are readily available now are just a tablet. You're basically reading the instructions, for lack of a better word, going through step by step. It's telling you what to do. You're just performing that task, and that's pretty much it. So you don't need to be a rocket scientist. I do it all the time, and if I can do it, you definitely can do. I'm definitely I'm getting a nod as I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I can do it, so you can definitely do it as well. Moving on from there, if there are no codes or lights, this one, I see this all the time. So this one's a big one for me, and it's coming in at number 9. I think it maybe should have been a little lower on the list, but still a good one. If there are no codes or lights, there's no need to recalibrate. I see this a lot, and a lot of people who do not recalibrate use this as an excuse as to they think that it doesn't need to be done if there's no light or no codes. It's very, very rare to have any kind of light or check engine light come on if the recalibration process has not been performed. That is a very small percentage. So there's not going to be a magic light come on to let you know that the camera needs to be recalibrated. On most cars, you won't even see a code during a scan saying that it needs to be recalibrated. So that's a big one, kind of far from the truth. And just to throw this out there, every vehicle manufacturer that I'm aware of, and I think I pretty much have them all covered, says if you remove the windshield or the camera from the vehicle or from its mounting location, it must be recalibrated. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If that windshield is replaced or that camera is removed, it must be recalibrated. So coming in at number 8, this also kind of ties into that. If you did not unplug the camera or sensor, you do not have to recalibrate it. False. So it has nothing to do with there being a lack of power to the camera that makes it need to be recalibrated. This, if this were the case, every time a battery went dead on a car, every ADAS system on the car would have to be recalibrated. So it's not about if you don't unplug the camera, it's about replacing the windshield, the camera's moving, anything of that nature. So anything that moves or has been replaced, it has to be recalibrated. So if you think you're cheating the system by just not unplugging the camera, that's definitely wrong. There is no memory in the camera, so unplugging it is not a workaround. Coming in at number 7, you need OEM tools to perform recalibration. That is also incorrect. There are quite a few systems that are commercially available now. I think there may be 3 right now that are currently in the market. Major aftermarket recalibration tools have a very successful track record for performing safe recalibrations. So you do not necessarily need OEM tools to recalibrate the cameras or sensors. Number 6, you can always send it to the dealership. Some dealerships do not have the necessary equipment or even know how to perform recalibrations. I get this one a lot. People will ask me, hey, my local dealership, in fact, Carrie's nodding her head. She has heard this one too when people call or stop by. Our local dealership doesn't even know how to recalibrate. I find this more a few years ago than I do now. People are starting to come around, especially the dealerships, but it still happens more frequently than I would like. Plus, you're asking the customer to drive the car to the dealership. That falls more into a legal firestorm that's debated all throughout social media and all these meetings and conventions. I'm not going to get into that right now, but that will be Carrie shaking her head. She has seen the debates. She has heard them.
Yes, sir.
So, however, we will be addressing the legal aspect of that in a future podcast. Not to mention, dealerships can sometimes take days, maybe a week or more to return the vehicle to you. So you're doing a service by actually getting the vehicle recalibrated in a timely manner. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hit the top 5. We're going to get through this kind of fast. I just want to get this out there, start the conversation. I think, this will definitely be something that will be good for social media. Some people can reference it back. We definitely welcome your comments. So be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on this video below if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast on Amazon Alexa, iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, be sure to subscribe. This by far is definitely not the last podcast we will be doing, and it's not the first that we have done in the ADAS area. So we'll be right back and hit our top 5.
The newly released Glass Module, co-designed by MobileTech RX and GlassWeld, is an industry-leading, multifaceted app available for your Apple or Android device. You can create professional glass repair estimates and invoices in a matter of seconds using the industry-leading VIN scanning and decoding feature. And it's not just for glass. It includes built-in service screens for window tinting, paintless dent repair, paint vendors, and more. Try it for free at mobiletechrx.com.
Welcome back to Auto Glass Digest Talk.
All right, jumping right back in. Number 5, this one, I've been to a meeting of the minds, I guess, some of the top experts in the industry, and they seem to agree with me, but some of them, it's like 80-20. Number 5, all cars will be dynamic in the future. All right, so the biggest problem with that would make it like super easy to not have to do static and set up the targets, just kind of plug it in the vehicle and drive. And for those of you who are new to ADAS, dynamic is essentially where you take your tablet, you plug it into the vehicle, you drive it for a predetermined distance, and the recalibration is performed by the car. Static, you're setting up targets, you're putting it inside of a shop or facility somewhere. Camera is, looking at the targets for, just keeping it in layman terms and recalibrating. There are too many factors involved for everything to go dynamic. In fact, I think you're going to start to see a trend of more static. Why is that? Well, there are a lot of factors. Not everyone lives close to a road where it has the nicely painted lines that they can get up to usually 38 miles per hour or faster for a predetermined amount of time. Climate, that's another big one. So our friends up north, especially in Canada, the northern United States, you have to deal with snow on the ground a lot. So finding a place to actually drive and perform that dynamic recalibration can be tough. Some places, Alaska, it's dark, a couple months nonstop out of the year. So it's really hard to perform dynamics in certain areas of the country. Even like if you're in heavy rain, you can't do it. So I think you're going to see a trend of more static, getting it into the shop. Number 4, this one, I really like this one. And when I saw this one, it was I like this one. So when performing a recalibration, you are changing the factory specifications inside the computers, cameras, or sensors. That is false. You're really, when you're plugging your tablet in and you're going into the tablet and you're hitting your checkpoints, performing your steps, you are only telling the system to go into recalibration mode essentially, and to start the cycle for performing the recalibration. You're not actually going in and changing perimeters or moving stuff with the tablet. There are some, when you're recalibrating some radar, you can adjust those with like a specific type of screwdriver. But as far as the tablet goes, you're not changing anything for the information inside of the computer. Another one, out of the people that do recalibrations, I don't see this one done enough. But number 3, test driving the vehicle after recalibration is not necessary. That is not something that I recommend. Every recalibration that I do, the vehicle is test driven afterwards just to make sure everything is performing properly. There are, numerous reasons to test drive the vehicle, but most importantly, making sure the recalibration was successful in a real world application, meaning, you're testing your lane departure, your blind spot. You're just making sure all of that stuff is working before you return it to the customer. So I really like that one. There's an article posted on ADASwarehouse.com that discusses that, where a technician goes into detail about why driving the vehicle after performing a recalibration is so important.
That's such a good one.
Yeah, that one, it's not, people usually say, oh, check, it's good, whatever, but it really, you definitely need to drive the vehicle afterwards. We're going to, let's hit number 2 before we take our final commercial break. All right, so number 2, this one, I think got a bad rap in the beginning because not so many people knew how to troubleshoot when performing a recalibration. So number 2, aftermarket glass is a bad choice for replacing a windshield with a camera. This was something that was, and still, I don't hear as much of it today as I did in the past, but this was really a big myth in the beginning. I feel like mostly because everyone was kind of new to it. No one had a ton of experience doing it. So troubleshooting was kind of, there wasn't a lot of troubleshooting going on because people didn't really know how to troubleshoot. So everyone just kind of blamed it on the aftermarket glass. Then they would take it to the dealership. The dealership would put their OE glass in and then perform the recalibration, and it worked. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that was the glass or the windshield specifically. It was probably just because the dealership had more experience and was able to troubleshoot it if needed to be. Not being able to, let's see, this is true for some aftermarket windshields. Everyone knows there are a couple of suppliers that have issues. I'm sure they're working on those. So it's not a blanket statement. There are some aftermarket windshields out there that consistently have problems recalibrating, be it the bracket is not proper, the bracket's in the wrong spot, just the quality of the glass is not there. So the longest one of the top 10 is number 1. We're going to get to that one after a commercial break, and we'll talk to you soon.
Do you want to know how easy and effective advertising on Auto Glass Digest can be? Visit our website to fill out our advertising form or contact me directly at katie@autoglassdigest.com to find out how you can reach our audience throughout our various platforms and original video series.
Welcome back to Auto Glass Digest Talk.
All right, jumping back in at number 1. So this, every time I talk to someone on the phone, they always throw this up. I'm not even going to say what number 1 is. I'm going to explain it a little bit before I do. So car manufacturers don't make the vehicle the year after they come up with what vehicle it is. So if it's a 2015 car, they knew what they were coming out with 5 years before that, because they have to put all this stuff together, make sure it works, do all their testing, blah, blah, blah. Maybe not even 5 years, but years before. So as of right now, with the people I've spoken to about this, no one has any plans for number 1 at all. And number 1 is ADAS is a fad and will go away sometime soon. When I talk to people, they're nervous about buying the equipment. They think that it's going to sit in their garage and collect dust. Maybe 5 years from now, who knows? But in the immediate future, next couple years, that's not going to be the case. This technology has been around for over 20 years. It's still here. It's still essentially, the same process. NHTSA is requiring more ADAS features to get a higher crash safety rating. So, it's more and more and more. This used to be something that was originally designed for luxury vehicles, but now you can find it in like a base model Toyota Corolla. I mean, it's such commonplace.
And Jamie, for our potential viewers who aren't in the industry, you maybe want to tell them what NHTSA is?
Oh, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. That's the government that's always telling us what to do in this crazy automotive repair industry. But it's good that we at least have someone giving some guidelines. So ADAS is basically the testing ground, in my opinion, for future self-driving cars. You have different levels of ADAS and autonomy. We won't get into that right now. We will for sure in the future. But what's happening now with these cars is kind of taking some of the guesswork and the beta testing what I feel is a truly autonomous vehicle, self-driving car. It's going to take all the data it's learned from what's out there now and help make something better. And truly, I can't wait for it because I spend a lot of time in my car. I would love to just get in my car and let the car do its thing. I could take a nap, which is not that hard for me to do in the car. Hopefully, while I'm a passenger in the vehicle. But I would love to watch a movie, get some work done, all of that while riding around in my self-driving car. And that is very, very near. That's not like 10 years away anymore. I think it's probably closer to 2 to 4 years away, maybe even sooner. It's all about the infrastructure. So as soon as they can get all the highways with the proper markings and lines and whatever Wi-Fi systems they want to use to help this, it's going to happen. So that will be soon. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, listening. I would love to hear your comments. Feel free to comment on our Facebook page at Autoglass Digest. Follow us on Twitter. You can subscribe to our podcast via iHeartRadio, Spotify, our apps. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I said from the beginning when I started doing this podcast, I would never charge for the Apple, iTunes, or the Google Play apps. I want to keep that completely free. So it's a free download. You can go back and listen to previous episodes if you'd like. Amazon Alexa, I would love to just say that little thing, but I know if I say that and people are listening and they're at home, Alexa will start playing our podcast. So you can just ask Alexa to play the name of this podcast. Let's see, what else? Oh, we are going to be on the road at the SEMA show. SEMA 2019 here coming up in a couple weeks. Can't wait to see. We are going to be stopping by some of the vendors that sell this equipment. You'll be able to see that firsthand. So be sure to follow us on social media for Autoglass Digest. Check out the website. And again, if you have any comments, you can always email them to me directly, Jamie, Jamie, at autoglassdigest.com. And again, a big thanks to Mobile Tech RX. Be sure to check them out, and ADAS Warehouse. For Autoglass Digest Talk, I'm Jamie Browning, and we will see you next time. Say bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Autoglass Digest Talk, the industry's #1 podcast. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast to catch every episode at autoglassdigest.com.